Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of HHC Live. We are on episode 8. I am Chris. I'm here with my brother Jake. We are just a couple of Spurs fans, excited to talk about the week that we had. Then looking forward. Sorry, I muted myself in the middle of that. Then we'll look forward to the week that is to come in Spurs basketball. So, Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. A little salty after last night, but we'll get to
Yeah,
that.
a little bit. We had a good week overall. We won't have side note. We won't have Josh with us today, but it will be just me and Jake running the show. But that's cool. Um, alrighty, so we are excited to talk about this week because we had a pretty productive week. We had scheduled 5 games, which was a lot. Ended up playing 4, and we'll talk a little about the cancellation here in just a second. But pretty good week. We ended up going 3-1, right, which is a pretty positive week overall. We ended up getting our point guard back for the first time, which was really good news. And then we also what's another thing that was kind of like the big step forward. Well, really, I would say it was KJ was like the highlight of my week. Was watching this guy play. So let's kind of jump in a little bit. We don't we won't spend too much time on like a game to game. I know we've kind of done that in the past, but we're just gonna kind of change it up a little bit and see how we enjoy it, or if we like it, if we don't. So anyways, our first game that we are kind of looking back to is we had our first game of the week against the Washington Wizards, right? So I think Jake has some numbers to throw up in front of us, but I think this was a game that we kind of was kind of right down the line of what we were anticipating, huh? It was a game where they were missing a lot of players. They were going to be coming back after like a little bit of a layoff, and we felt like if we put our head in the right place, we should do we should be successful, and I think that it pretty much bared out just like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, our game. I'll go ahead and just pull up the little box score real quick,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it wasn't too crazy. Like we kind of just held it for the most part from the second quarter and on. Uh, and then I mean, like we just had honestly, our guys just came in, did their thing. Our vets and Lamarcus and DeMar didn't really shoot crazy that game. Lamarcus had a solid night, but I could definitely tell, like, DeMar was still coming back in, still getting his due and stuff. Which he ended the game with 8 assists to nearly get the double right there. But it was still it was mainly just like our young guys that came in and did a thing, and even Patty coming off the bench getting 21 for us really helped. But
Hmm.
one of the highlights that I like to say is Devin with 14. He shot the ball 11 times that night, so that makes me happy seeing that he's in a sense that he's taking every opportunity that he gets. So
Yeah, and some of those points come straight out of DeMar DeRozan's pile a little bit. But still, you like you said, you like to see that, not aggressiveness, but the willingness to take those shots and to find those positions.
hmm
Hmm.
and I think one of the things that makes me happy, at least for this game, we'll talk about the Grizzlies game later, but seeing DeMar only shoot 7 times and we still get a sizable win makes me happy. I think that's something that should be noted, is that, like, our guys, our stars, they don't have to be the people who shoot the ball 15 times a game every game. Like if DeMar needs to take a step back to let everybody else kind of get their due, or if DeMar's in a slump, or if at this point of at the beginning of the week, I'm sure everybody still had the idea that we're playing 5 games, and I'm sure the team was like, all right, DeMar, take a step back, because you're gonna have to be playing hard for the Pelicans. You're gonna have to be playing hard against the Celtics and Denver. So
Maybe,
uh,
yeah.
like I could very well see like the team kind of holding back DeMar a little bit, just so that like, one, obviously our young players get their due. Seeing, like I said, Devin with 11 shots, Lonnie 6 for 13, Dejounte with 5 for 13. Um, so seeing our young guys be the uh not the leading scorers, but being like, the people that drove the game for the most part, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. And with Demar, his game is a little bit more. At least this year, it looks like where he's kind of a waiting a little bit, right? He's kind of like he's been real patient. You probably hear the phrase like taking what the defense gives to me or whatever, like all the time or whatever. But maybe, yeah, maybe just on some nights it's like I never really had to get into that takeover mode because as I was finding my teammates, we have more and more guys that can kind of carry that load. So then, yeah, by the end of the game's out of reach. We're doing really well. I didn't need to go into that other mode where I'm getting my extra 6 or 7 shots off. You know what I mean? Now, as opposed to like LaMarcus Aldridge, who he's probably always gonna have a lot more shots because he just is more of that rhythm volume kind of guy. So I feel like we try to feed him a little bit early in the games.
mhm.
It looks like that's our game plan.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But all in all, this game was a pretty simple. Just like we came in, got the job done. This Wizards team wasn't too crazy. Obviously, Bradley Beal's still going to get his due, but like seeing Russell Westbrook shoot 3 for 11 and stuff like that, those are the kind of things that just like it just happened this game, and we were like I said, we just kind of came in, and did our job.
Yeah,
So
and it's one of those things of like I don't get a chance to watch like all the games and everything like that. I'm trying my best to try to pick up other games along the way to kind of get a better frame of like what some of these other teams look like. But we're doing our thing. We have our road, and like Washington's on kind of its own crazy road right now
mhm.
with their whole trade stuff, and then everybody's talking about
Free
be,
Bradley Bill,
yeah,
free
Bill.
Bradley Bill.
Exactly right. So, we did our job of like not messing with that train. Just like, all right, you come in and
Yeah,
let's let that kind of stuff continue to have 31 points for Bradley Bill and fall off a cliff everywhere else. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, for sure. But we can go ahead and get into the next game, really, just because this wasn't too bad. Which I guess, just to kind of bring it up, but this was supposed to be the third game of the week, and it ended up being the second game of the week because our Pelicans game got canceled.
mhm.
Um, and thankfully, it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like a little scare. The teams were both just kind of afraid that like maybe if they played, people would get sick, or maybe somebody was already sick and they just didn't.
I
You
have
know,
a question. Like, do you have any knowledge of like the NBA doing something like that so far? To any other teams, like where it's way more like preemptive.
no, no. For the most part, I feel like the teams like Boston. Boston has had to miss a couple games already this year. Um, Miami, Philly. What are some other teams?
And
Obviously,
and
Washington,
they've
Memphis.
all been for specific players and or facility
Yeah,
members like
yeah.
being
That's
positive, right?
I'm for the most part, I'm pretty sure I've seen stuff like that. Um, Jimmy Butler did not play until like last night because like he missed like a couple weeks, and the Heat have been playing, but like literally for the most part, most of those postponements are because of the players not being able to like not enough active players
Yeah.
on the roster
Yeah,
because
and
they're all hurt.
and that was kind of weird. I know that like they did say about it how it was pretty preventative and they were just trying to be on the safe side. But like at the beginning of the uh, um, I guess I should say like a few hours before that statement came out, like it was a lot of similar wording, right? Which is that neither team had the available players. So like, I don't know, that was kind of weird. I think that as they move on, if they do that again with other teams, that they'll start to word it a little different. Because when they
Mhm.
worded it the first time, it literally sounded like both teams had multiple positive tests and they don't have their like that's the feeling it gave when you say the things like neither team have the available players or whatever. So
Yeah.
that I don't know, that was kind of weird because we literally had just played like the day before. So
Well,
um
and that was the scary thing for me because we played against the Wizards, the one team like that one of those
mhm.
teams that had missed the last couple weeks. I was terrified. I was like, "Oh my goodness, we're going to miss 2 weeks of Spurs basketball because we played against the Washington Wizards on their first game back." Like,
Yeah.
it's that was scary. But other than that little scare, we are able to come in and play against a solid team in the Celtics. They have two very good young stars in Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a personal big fan of Jalen Brown. I like his defense. I like his scoring ability. he's definitely stepped it up this year, especially in some of the absence of Jason Tatum, which clearly he wasn't absent in this game.
Yeah.
Um, but this this game, honestly, like I feel like our biggest things that came out to me was our defense at the end of the game,
Mm-hmm.
because we were kind of just like, I felt like it was kind of just like a long stroll just throughout the entire game. There wasn't really anything that was like crazy other than that the end of the second half, I think, when we were just getting multiple stops,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
picking them off right there at the very end of the
A
half.
couple steals. We'll see, and I would agree with you. And you can keep going. I don't want to cut you off, but I would agree with you that like it did feel like that was it was a 48-minute match. Like, you know what I mean? It was pretty close all the way through. There wasn't too many. It was a good wave. You could kind of ride that wave pretty easily. About like we played better in the second and fourth. They played better in the first and third. And it was a good back and forth. This was one of my this was one of my favorite games to watch so far this year.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I loved seeing Keldon go out there and do his thing. Like I said, he was definitely a big part in that in that driving force at the end of the second half. Seeing him and DJ just kind of like running all around the court and being disruptive out there. It like it was beautiful to see. I really loved seeing the end of that second half.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Keldon has been exactly what we were talking about last week about rookies, or sorry, not rookies, sorry, but our young guys. Wanting to just, or wanting to see them take more opportunities, like take more opportunities. You know what I mean? And Keldon Johnson showed so much of that in this Boston game, and then also in the Denver game. Shoot, and even in the Memphis game too. But of just, if there was any moment where you could feel that like our team wasn't, well, there was many moments where we weren't clicking, but there was just a lot of those times where you can see that like who is the one that's actually pushing everybody forward, and it was Keldon, and it was through his willingness to go and just like grab a rebound or to go get a putback. Like it was all those little things, man, and yeah, it was really refreshing to see, because we know what we're getting with Aldridge and DeRozan. Like I mean, you're hoping that they're consistent, because there's games where our veterans don't show up, but it's like we know what to expect from like our older guys, to a lesser extent Derek White, because he's been around for a little bit and he's a little older, and so it's like, okay, now let's see like what can we come to expect from you guys. You know what I mean? On a daily basis, on a gamely basis. So man, Keldon been killing it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I mean, you're talking about like sometimes our guys aren't on it, but like I was saying how I like seeing us win games without DeMar shooting a lot. This was another one, except for this time DeMar actually, he was making his shots too, man. He shot 7 for 8. Like that's all, like seeing him shoot 7 for 8, and then seeing LaMarcus, Keldon, and DJ have over 10 shots, but being 50% or over.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of stuff, like I like seeing that. I like seeing us get W's without needing all of our stars to be big contributors every day, every
Yeah.
game. And obviously DeMar was a huge contributor with having 7 for 8 shooting and 7 assists, 5 boards. But like, I mean, it's still just the fact of like we didn't have to see DeMar go crazy the entire game. He probably just had those little stints here or there that really helped us get this win over a solid team.
Yeah, and he probably had a good 6 or 7 attempts from the line or whatever, probably. Yeah, a good efficient night. The thing that I was liking at the beginning of the year was there was a couple games where we were winning, where we weren't necessarily shooting the three all that well, and so kind of the same vein where you're saying is like, man, I like the fact that we can still get wins even though we don't have to rely so heavily on this. In this case, you're talking about like needing DeMar to go off for 30 just for us to be competitive in a game against the Celtics. You know what I mean? Like, but also, so you were talking about it being like it was like a long walk or something. So I think what also benefited us in this game, and this was our first time of really, or at least in my opinion, of really getting to see like where our starters are able to hang around and keep a competitive game with their starters, and then our bench comes in and outplays their bench, and that's a good recipe for success. So I was glad to see that. I was glad to see how we were able to kind of do that, because again, yeah, this is a tough matchup, but it can be a 48 minutes of steady good ball, ups and downs, and us come out on top. Like we can have games like that, all year if we spread the wealth a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then I think another thing to kind of note here is that and this is just like when we kind of get into the Derek talks later, but seeing like Lonnie with 31, DJ with 36, and DeMar with 34, as well as like seeing Patty with 27 off the bench, like I honestly, as the Spurs fan that I am, I don't really see like Pop really giving our guys over 30 minutes a game sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Who? I mean, that's a pretty short bench right there. Gay, Pirtle, Mills, Vassell.
yeah, and I was talking with our other brother Juan the other night about like in terms of just like fitting Derek in, and we didn't even realize, but we're running 9 man, and I feel like our team has really like our team is just that deep that like, man, I thought we were running 10 men for the longest time. Like I thought,
Can you scroll down a little bit so we can see our bench?
yeah, it's
Oh
Trey,
yeah,
Drew, Kata Bates, and Little Trey.
yeah.
um,
It's
and
it's
so
funny. It's funny when people talk about like oh they only have like 8 people to run tonight or 9 people to run tonight for like COVID reasons or whatever. But a lot of teams do that anyway. You know what I mean? But
right.
it's interesting to see that.
I know, and I never even thought about that because, like, I mean, just to see, just looking at the minutes right here, like, I honestly, like, we'll get into it a little bit more, right? But honestly, like, I for sure can see us fitting in Derek and still finding some minutes for Devin to play. So,
Yeah,
uh, but go ahead and just like moving on for the week and stuff like that. This was another solid little game.
yeah.
Against
We had a really good couple days, like as Spurs fans, watching two good teams, or I guess I should say watching us play really well against two good teams. Watching some of the other Western Conference teams lose a little bit and seeing our numbers rise up towards the standings, like this was this was like the highlight of the week.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. And like in this game, my highlight player would be DJ. DJ freaking killed it this game. I know I see DeMar with 30 points, 11 for 14 shooting. That's nice, but DJ was on it this game. Like to see DJ score 26, 3, and 7 and still hold a player, a great offensive player like Jamal Murray to 20 points. Like I can't get mad at that. That's a beautiful game from DJ. Like that's you know seeing him being able to do both ends, play solid offense and play good defense, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
that's
and DJ, we kind of glazed over, but DJ played a really good defensively against the Celtics too, right? I mean, and that's a game where he had that
he held
took
Kemba to
took
14.
took Kemba's cookies at the end of the game too. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I agree, man. DJ, as like a point guard has he really stepped it up this week too. Like that was another really bright spot. It's been good to see his decision making skills, like in the fast break. The last game we had against the Memphis, we had some really terrible fast breaks, but I would say it was not really DJ running them. But yeah, DJ's decision making skills these past couple games, and his coolness has like ramped up, man. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of kind of point a little bit more stuff out, like we were talking about a lot of the good, but I will say, coming from this week, I wasn't too impressed with what I saw from Lonnie. He had that one game where he went 6 for 9 earlier this week, but I I wasn't too happy with what I saw from Lonnie. Like I feel like now this game, I think it was this game, right? Like he like came down at one point and like tweaked his back, had to kind of go sit down for a little bit, and injuries happen, right? Like of course that's going to hinder him, but
Mhm.
still there's still like those points in in these games where I feel like sometimes Lonnie is playing a little too passive. Like um I understand like where our brother Josh comes from when he says that Lonnie might play too passive because of his short leash, but there are times when I see Lonnie make you know Lonnie, I feel like at times Lonnie makes those decisions, those poor decisions that I don't see DJ make, that I don't see Keldon make, that I don't see Derek make, and even sometimes Devin. Like I don't want to really put that out there because Devin's still a rookie. He still makes his mistakes too. But I feel like every now and then I'll see Lonnie either pass up a shot or I'll see Lonnie go to the rim a little crazy and kind of put up a little bit of a poor shot. His playmaking has gotten better. Like he I feel like being able to see Lonnie kind of drive and then dish it out. Like I think that's gotten better. But every now and then, like I'm just like, man, Lonnie, what are you doing? Like you know he's just kind of like running out there just to run out there. I feel like sometimes he does look a little lost in terms of what he does.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of like some the first time that I kind of noticed, or I wouldn't say kind of noticed, but I will say like in yesterday's game, we had Derek back, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But when I'm talking about Lonnie, we had Derek back, and so it was coming to the crunch time, and we had DJ, Derek, Lonnie, DeMar, and then I think for a little bit we had Yak, and then for a little bit we had LA, maybe if I remember quickly, but we had a big out there. And I remember, yeah, like literally like watching that lineup go for a little bit, and I was like, man, this is a great lineup because you can plug Lonnie or KJ, whoever's kind of having the more hot hand or providing whatever. And literally, like as I was saying that, I was thinking like, okay, in this instance, would I have that lineup out there? And I was like, honestly would probably swap and put KJ in there just based off of what you're saying. Like, in the flow of the offense, sometimes it feels like four people are doing one thing, and then you want Lonnie to come along, but then he like, well, we'll hold back for a second, and you just don't really you feel. I think at this moment I have a little bit more faith in KJ of like, all right, if DJ's feeling good and he's finding people and DeMar's in good rhythm and like and we're coming to the closing lineup, like KJ will go out there and he'll give you the cuts that you need, or he'll keep the offense moving the way that you want it to, and he'll give you those other things. He's going to be trying to go get an extra rebound, or you know what I mean. So but yeah, but it's stemming from what you're saying about Lonnie still is just showing a little bit of that to me as well.
Yeah, and it's not even to like back him down. Like obviously we know he's got his potential. We know that he is a good spark plug. Whenever DeMar is a little slow to start or something like that, like every now and then we'll see it. Lonnie will step up to the plate and he'll take those shots. He'll make the right decisions. But it's just like at the moment right now, I'm starting to need to see a little bit more consistency from Lonnie, and then eventually, like we were saying, just like seeing him take more initiative, take more of the responsibilities of being one of our scorers on the team.
Yeah, and I think that'll come. Now Pop has even more things to kind of to tweak with Derek White being back in terms of where he's going to put lineups and all that kind of stuff. So it throws another monkey wrench into it, or whatever you want to call it. And they probably have plans and all that kind of stuff, but it does feel like now we're at like a new point, right? We've reached like the second leg of our season. We're finally getting Derek back, so now let's kind of let's readjust and see how we're gonna make it work.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead.
Was there anything else? Was there anything else from that game that kind of stuck out to you, play wise? I know that Murray. I will say, like, Murray was dealing with like a hip thing, and they did just look a little slow most of the night. And so it kind of, putting it into proper context, we did play well against them. But just, if you watch the game, there was a lot of times where they just looked a little sluggish. So we go ahead.
I just want to say this real quick. We were talking, or last week we were talking about the preview. We were talking about how our ways to beat this team, and I said, let's just let Jokic do his thing and keep everybody else from doing their thing. And you can look at the stats, man. I think I was kind of right what our game plan was.
Yeah. I was gonna. Thanks for bringing that up, because that did pop into my head too while we were playing the game, and a little bit after the game too. I was thinking, okay, Jake, when we were talking about it, Jake was kind of talking about how limiting the big man, and then because I went and rewatched our conversation too, so it was fresh in my mind too that it went that way.
5 for 11 3-pointer is like, my goodness, man. But
Yeah, and we got lucky too because I mean, and we can kind of talk about this a little bit as we kind of are talking about Boston um, or this week in general. But it seems like we are just content with letting LA's man shoot the three. Like that just looks to be what is on the game plan for us. Like, so Nokic going 5 for 11 is not ideal, but imagine he goes like 6 for 6. You know what I mean? Like what that looks like, where he still is scoring 6 3-pointers, but it's like the clutchness of them now come back to kind of hit you in the bad spots of the game. So like those are things looking forward that I wasn't. I don't know how it's gonna go against a team that that has a big man who can just shoot. You know what I mean? It's like, are we really just gonna give that up? And I don't know, man. Like like during this Boston and during the Denver game, we did a pretty good job of like driving one direction and then kicking the ball to like a weak side for like an open three. I feel like that was like pretty successful for us these past couple games. And then I don't know if you want to slide it over to the next game, but like when we moved over to the Memphis game, it was like that's literally what we were just giving up all night long, was like one easy little weak side pass, and now all of a sudden our help is coming from somewhere way the heck far away to try to contest a three. Like that I don't know, like I don't know if I'm missing something defensively, like because that kind of stuff doesn't like click instantly with me. Of like, why are in an age of everybody has people on their roster that can shoot the three? Like everybody spent 2 years trying to load up on shooters, to match Golden State or whatever, and so now everybody can shoot the three. That's just a thing. So why would you help knowing that one pass gives you a wide open three? Like I don't know. Like I don't know if you if you have a better answer, if you have an explanation from better than that.
honestly, like, eh, I'm just as lost as you are. Honestly, it's definitely weird what we're trying to do and stuff like that. And like I don't know. I feel like in terms of just like our defense, like what we should try to do, like I think Jakob and I guess uh we should totally like look at how many games we finished with Jakob and won, and how many games that we finished with LaMarcus and won.
Yeah.
Um but I feel like having Jakob out there is just so much, like, at the end of a game, especially when if if LaMarcus isn't exactly making all of his shots, if he's not in his rhythm, at the end of the game, I'd much rather see Jakob out there than LaMarcus, because
Yeah.
LaMarcus is too much of a defensive liability, and like on the boards, I'm tired of just seeing KJ out there pushing 4 people to go grab a board,
Yeah, I mean, okay, but eh, that I get what you're saying. I just want people to see that like that's coming from the coaching staff versus coming from LA. You know
From
what I mean?
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, Yak is gonna. The reason that you're saying like you would prefer to have Yak in there is because if Yak's on the court, they're parking him in the paint. They're not gonna go sit him on the 3-point line like they make LA do all day. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like. I don't know. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to defend LA real quick because like man, I mean I see people on the internet like
Talking so much.
OMG, our big only got 3 boards this game, or you know what I mean? It's like over the past 4
You
games,
got 5 boards this
uh,
game.
yeah, right. Over the past 4 games, LA's gotten 3 rebounds, 3 rebounds, 4 rebounds, 2 rebounds. But then they'll highlight like the guards. It's like you don't think that that's by design. That the fact that it's happening 10 times in a row, you know what I mean? You don't think that's
Mhm.
by. You don't think that the coaches know that that's how the numbers look. You know what I mean? It's like it's just by design. It's just one of those things like and I think I talked about it in like one of our first episodes of like there was a point where the Spurs like were pretty okay with giving up the defensive rebound to make sure we're getting back on defense. And that's and so maybe it just bleeds into that. It's like we know where we're giving up points. We know the things that we're conceding. And yeah, it looks bad. It looks bad to see LA contesting his 3-pointers from the paint. It looks bad to see LA getting 3 rebounds in a game, but what do you want? Do you want him to be out on the 3-point line, crash into the board, and then have to do the full court sprint to to get back on defense, or to get onto the offensive end? Like what do
Yeah.
we really, what do
And
we want?
and I think I think the Thunder kind of did this well back when Russell Westbrook was on their team. Because like they had a solid rebounder and Steven Adams. You know, he was a defensive player and a rebounder. He didn't shoot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like whenever Russ was on the court, who are they going to give the boards to? And clearly it was Russ. Russ averaged a triple double those seasons, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like that's what their game plan was. Maybe that's our game plan too. You know, you let Russell Westbrook run and go grab the board, and for us it would be DeJounte
Yeah,
or
it's
DeMar,
it's
Lonnie.
it's so it's so much faster. It's so much faster to let one of our guards go crash the board and get it to another guard and push it up. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hmm.
Versus LA to do it. Like that's
Yeah,
just
and then like with DJ especially because he is the point guard, right? Like if DJ gets the board and uh his vision, I think his vision's probably. Yeah, I'd say at the moment, other than Derek, because oh my goodness, this game, the Grizzlies, yeah, this Grizzlies game, Derek really showed off his vision. But I think these last couple weeks showed that DJ had like the best vision. But I'd probably still give it to Derek, like just
yeah,
after
it's
this
so
one
it's
game.
so crazy because obviously we lost, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of our guys weren't playing extremely well. But it's crazy because we've been seeing the year happen, and you got your ideas of what Patty can do for us, what the progression that DJ's having, and like I'm thinking more specifically the point guard, I guess. But
Hmm. I mean,
or
even
at
like just like throwing Devin in there.
yeah, but just like how our playmakers and the people that run our offense are gonna do, like
Right.
you're starting to generate those ideas as the season's going on. So like
Tomorrow.
okay, the season's going on, and like I'm starting to think, and Patty is on and off with his shot, but he's doing well for us as a veteran off the bench and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff. DJ's looking really good, and then Derek White comes out and just like immediately shows, like as soon as Derek White went out there, he in my opinion, he made Patty look kind of dumb out there for like a 2 or 3 minutes, where I was like, Patty, can you see what we're doing here? Like Derek's trying to put you in spots, man. Like let's go.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it was just insane to me, like how much as soon as he got on the court, it was like,
You could just feel the impact. Like
yeah, like
man came out there to do business, and I wish we got the W this game because Derek White, like coming off of an injury, like he any player would be rusty.
mhm.
But freaking Derek White comes out, plays 22 minutes and gets 6 for 11. Like that. The whenever I think about this game, obviously like some of a lot of our shots were not going down. Like it was crazy how many shots that we were just taking that looked good, looked solid, but just like there was like one specific shot that I remember from Lonnie that like it looked so clean and that sucker just rolled right in and rolled right back out. And so it was
Yeah,
just like, oh my goodness, man, we cannot get a shot for our life. But like Derek still came in and gave so many people open looks. Like for Derek, the thing that I remember is seeing Jakob tip the ball out, seeing Derek pick it up, get ready to take that shot, but Jakob's still standing, like, kind of slides himself right under the rim, and Derek just right down to Jakob, and bam,
yep,
easy bucket. And it's
yeah.
just like that's the kind of stuff that I cannot wait to see Derek do, like for the like these next coming games.
Yeah, he showed a lot. He showed a lot of he showed a lot of his offensive skill in that regard, but then he showed a lot of his defensive awareness, trying to pick up the. He got a couple moving screens to go
Hmm.
against Jang, and you can already see his big old afro. He's out there, and the way he reacts to contact in his head
Yeah.
falling around and everything like that. So, yeah, man, he's gonna. It's like you said, it's a shame that he came out and played so well on a night where we had so many people. In my opinion, we just, and I even put it on our Twitter account, like we just looked like Denver did. We just looked a little slow all night. Things weren't happening the way we wanted them to go. And luckily, man, imagine if we did not have Derek, this probably would have been a blowout. Like we probably would have been
Hmm.
out of the game. And I know people were a little bit mad but with Pop. It was like around 3 to 4 minutes in the game still when he kind of pulled the starters.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, people were saying like, "Oh my God, he gave up." It's like, yeah, but the people who played the game, they gave him 40 minutes of evidence of what they were bringing to the table for that
For
night.
sure, man.
You know what I mean? And it just wasn't it for that night. So, well, let's get Drew in there. Let's see if we can get anything going with these guys, and then if not, well, then
Yeah,
it-
I think the only thing that I'm upset about is seeing like Trey Lyles get 11 minutes, but Devin only got 10. Like, don't get me wrong, there are times where like I saw Trey go out there and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm okay with this decision because both Jakob and LaMarcus were not playing right, and we needed just another big man to see if he could create anything. And I
yeah.
understand that.
And
Obviously,
and,
Devin's
and
not
like
a
and
center.
like and like Eubanks too. It's like, okay, neither one of them are really moving. Let's try to get Eubanks out there and at least get his legs going and see if
Yeah.
if he could start to give us some juice, because like I kept saying it last night, I was like, we just didn't have the juice. You know what I mean? We were like
Hmm.
running low. So imagine if we get Eubanks back into game shape, and now he can give us maybe like a couple, like 2 or 3, like 3 to 4 minute spurts sprinkled throughout the game to just keep our energy up. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
you
And
know,
but so like seeing DeMar shoot 2 for 6, Keldon and to be fair, Keldon got kicked halfway through the game, and I think that's what kind of like sidelined him for the end of the game. I saw somebody said that they sat him for the last 18 minutes of the game,
yeah,
and I think maybe it just wasn't sitting well with him. Like he just kind of felt a little out of it after he got kicked towards the end of the second half. So I can kind of understand why we didn't have Keldon at the end of the game. But like just kind of seeing like all of our guys were not really hitting their stuff. I think DJ provided a solid spark in the fourth quarter, but it was still just matched by
yeah.
the Grizzlies.
Yeah, we, we,
And
we, we had to work so hard on the offensive end. We didn't have anything to give to them defensively. It was like a lot of what
yeah,
I was saying. One pass from the strong side to the weak side, and all of a sudden there was just like a sea of nothing in front of the shooter. It
for
was like, what,
sure,
what
man.
the heck?
And it was
What the
like
heck?
it was crazy too. Like you said, we fought so hard on offense, and it's like whatever bucket we could buy, they sent it right back.
Yeah.
Seeing, seeing,
And it would be like rough too, because it would be like I don't know, like Lonnie finally hitting like a three, or LA, or some
Mhm.
one of our like mainstays. Rudy hits a three, and then you get like one of their role players, somebody who doesn't score a bunch, like now he knocks it down to three. You're
Yeah,
like, man,
Desmond Bain, who went 100% from three, D'Anthony Melton 4 for 7. Like they were
exactly, yeah,
just on it on the 3-point line, man. And it's just like for me though, the fact that like you were saying that we didn't have any juice, well, like why not play Devin? Why obviously Derek was the one who brought it in. That's he played 22 minutes, even though they were probably telling him, hey man, you're probably gonna play around 16 to maybe
yeah.
19 minutes today. Like and then he came in 22
Yeah,
minutes,
it
you know.
was it was good. It was good to see that it didn't feel like they were restricting him, right? Uh,
Hmm.
um, now that would have been a different thing, kind of like how when we had like we played Zion last year, and it was like they were losing the game, but they were carrying a lot of momentum, but then they yanked him and like sat him anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that didn't happen to Derek. I mean, well, I wish we would have got the win, but
Hmm.
yeah, that is a little surprising. I would say that Vassell didn't get a chance to play any or hardly at all in the second half, right? Uh,
Yeah, pretty much. And like
so
I feel like that's the thing that frustrates me a bit is like knowing that our team is so versatile, knowing that like we do have these players in Devin and Trey, even Drew Eubanks at to a certain point. I don't think in my personal opinion, sometimes I don't think Drew like I just don't think that he is as solid as just some of our other bigs. That like maybe LaMarcus, even if LaMarcus is having a bad night, maybe he still is having a little bit of a better impact than Drew. But
yeah,
at,
no,
at point,
Drew is like he's a glue, a kind of a glue guy, an engine guy. He's a spurt guy. You're not gonna
yeah,
you can't rely on him too much.
and so but my point being that like I just feel like we have enough players on this team that like obviously we're not going to run a 11 12 man rotation in every game, but if our guys are not hitting shots, throw those guys out there and see if they can create something.
Yeah,
The fact that Devin got 10 minutes and only shot the ball twice, like I I just wish that I would see 15 minutes and 5 shots, 6 shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
especially because like go back to the top, kind of like how you were just saying, like with sorry, top of our
mhm.
yeah. I mean, when you see 2 for 6, 3 for 6, 5 for 9, like even Lonnie Walker, that's a lot of that's a lot of extra opportunities right there. That we kind of left on the table. It looked like. Matter of
Exactly,
fact,
because like,
dang, when you look at the shot charts, like was anybody like nobody was really shooting. I mean, and maybe kudos to Memphis's defense then for just making us have to work really hard to try to find shots because yeah, I mean, dang, only have how many people in double digits for field goal attempts? Like two,
mm,
DJ and White.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, we just weren't able to kind of find the looks and yeah, sometimes we do. I hear Sean Elliott say it a lot. Like sometimes we do just like pass it. We stay on the outside the whole time, and it's like, yo, maybe they're just looking for their angle in, but it's like me, I don't know if I'm just impatient, but I'm like, let's go already. Sometimes they're not just going to give you the door. Sometimes you have to kind of create the door. You know what I mean?
And I,
Or sometimes the door is there. It's the big guy sitting in the post. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure, man. Those you were talking about it on the Twitter last night too, man. Like those those little like mouse and house opportunities, those parts where it's like, man, why is like, I understand sometimes like seeing Patty like having the mismatch against a 6'10" guy who's slower than him. I don't want to see Patty shoot a three in that case. I want to see Patty, take him off the dribble and get a layup because he's faster. Like I think it happened in the Denver game. I think that was like we had like a mismatch of Jokic on Patty, or it was just some game earlier this week. There's a big man on Patty. Patty took it out to the 3-point line. The second he got ready to go like outside of the three, he just took it right quick down baseline, bam, layup. And it's just like I understand having those mismatches, but man, you see John Morant on LaMarcus Aldridge,
yeah.
and like, I'd much rather see, like I said, either Patty tried to take Gorgie off the dribble or see the mismatch, see the
And
post up.
and and Ja was having trouble. Ja was having trouble with Rudy Gay on him in the post. Like
Exactly.
as soon as Rudy or LA would put any kind of weight on him, he would like start flailing his arms around like this and trying to like sell the fact that he's in a bad position,
Mhm.
maybe to the refs. But it's like, yo, okay, first off, if you see him flailing around like that and they're not calling a foul on LA, get LA the ball. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like punish him, make him go work. Instead, we don't. We go away from it, and now this guy gets to go and hit reverse layups or whatever the hell he's doing all night. You know what I mean? Like,
Nearly gets that putback dunk at the
yeah, I mean,
towards the end of
and
the
part
game.
of it, part of it is, or I shouldn't say part of it. A large part of it is his skill. I'll eat a whole bunch of crow on some of the things that I was saying about Ja Morant at the beginning of the year. Not that I was saying he was bad. It's just that there's just times. It's kind of like we talk about Lonnie. Like there's just times where he gets kind of passive too. Right. And so far we've seen him twice, and there hasn't been too much passiveness, man. He's been attacking us, and he's been making us look kind of dumb, especially last night.
Mhm.
A couple of those times they missed the shot. But man, he goes into the paint against like at least two dudes, and then it ends up being at least like three or four that kind of
Yeah, I
collapse
know.
around him, and then all of a sudden you just see like the ball fly out of that pile, and
Yeah, and
he's
it's like
finding a
right
wide
into,
open.
and I think the crazy thing is that it literally, like, to me, there was that one play that it got sent to like Dylan Brooks, and man, I thought that ball was good, just gonna go out of bounds, but it just went right perfectly into his hands, and he took all of his time in the world, took the
Yeah.
shot, and it was just like,
Yeah,
it
and
was so crazy to me.
you can call that, and like you can say that they had more energy or they had more, whatever. But I mean that is pretty simple. You know what I mean? That's using your strength to break the defense down, finding the open shooter, and we just if it's I don't know. It's like on a day if those are pretty simple concepts, right? Like they if you, hard to execute, obviously, and they're the best players in the world. So I'm not trying to like belittle like what the play is, but uh, when it seems that simple, and then we give up like those two Brooks threes at right around that same time where Pop ended up pulling the play. If I was Pop and I saw us give up Brooks for those 2 threes back to back, I'll pull the plug on the game too. We have 4 minutes left, but are you going to do this for 4 minutes? Because if so, I'm just going to get other people in here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, Jean Morant, he balled out. I was glad to see. I was excited to see him play. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I will say this, like I feel like when we were watching it, and for me, I like it whenever we get competitive, when our players, like, are just like kind of like yapping back and forth. There's that one play where DeMar freaking took it to Dylan Brooks, and then
Yeah, that was nice.
and it sucks to see DeMar get teched, but like I was still happy just to see that our guys were in it. Like, our guys are not afraid to back down, and like a team like Memphis, obviously, before Ja and Jaren Jackson, it was the grit and grind Grizzlies, right? It was Mark Dahl, Mike Conley, the Junkyard Dog, Zach Randolph, right?
Yes.
And you know, they're grit and grind for a reason. They did a lot of the rough stuff. They played tough ball, right? And I feel like I see that a lot in this team too. Like, even if like sometimes I'm out there and I'm watching the game and I'm just like, man, why is this not a foul? I see Dylan Brooks freaking, like, he is clearly pushing DeMar off of him. DeMar just to drive. So it's like, why, the only thing that's different is that Dylan Brooks is keeping his arms down, and so it looks more like DeMar is kind of like trying to drive into him. And and it's just like in spur of the moment games, I'm like, man, these guys are just dirty and I hate them and stuff like that. But like, I'm excited for like the rivalry, the competition that this team's gonna bring us as a division rival.
Oh yeah. I get excited too when I think about because like you said, like what the grit and grind was. Like, in my head, like the Southwest Division has always just been one of the toughest divisions. I mean, when the Spurs had Tim Duncan and all that crew, we were going through we went through Chris Paul's tenure with with in New Orleans, and then it turned into Anthony Davis in New Orleans, and now it's Zion Williams. You know what I mean? We went through the whole grit and grind. We went through Pau Gasol and then Marc Gasol, and now we're here. Houston Rockets, Tracy McGrady, Yao Ming, and now we're and then James Harden. You know what I mean? So Dallas Mavericks, we went through all of Dirk's career, and then that went, then they kind of fell off a little bit, and then now here comes Luka. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I feel like I agree with you. Like, I enjoy those kind of. I know that the matches are always going to be close. I know that it's going to be. Hopefully, it's going to be a game where both of us play well. I don't think we've had, over the years, most of the time they're pretty competitive games. So yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see where we kind of fit in terms of the toughness with that kind of too, because everybody talks about Zion being a beast down low and he's this big guy or whatever, but I mean, we got a guy who pushes centers out of the paint too, in KJ. So, and matter of fact, man, after watching KJ these past couple days, I was like, you got to put him in the discussion. It's maybe him, Zion, and PJ Tucker as like the toughest dudes in our division. You know what I mean? Like, and he's little
in the league, man.
He's so much smaller than them. So it's cool that we get to have those discussions. Real quick, I'm gonna jump in. Ernesto Mendoza, what's the Twitter at? Right here on the bottom, at Heroes Half Court. And you can find us on Twitter or on YouTube or on our Facebook page. I think we're all at the same, all the way across, if I believe. But we talk a lot of mess on the Twitter. Not a lot of mess, but we do some commentary during the games, and then just sprinkled a little bit throughout the week. As things come to your mind, you go on Twitter. That's how it goes, I guess. But yeah, so anyways, cool. Yeah, thanks Ernesto. I'm glad you're here to check us out. All right, Jake, do you have anything else that you want to add about just the way we played against or any of that kind of stuff before we move forward?
Nothing much really, other than like I guess just like, yeah, like just to kind of reiterate the points. Derek's back. I'm very excited for that, and then I think it's gonna be a challenge for Pop, obviously, but it's gonna be interesting to see if we do start running 10-man again. I
feel like we should, and in a perfect world, KJ continues to play in the second half. Maybe Vassell gets more minutes too. Like I don't know. I'm still at the mode of like, all right, you got to give gotta give Pop and them their benefit of the doubt in terms of how they're running their stuff. But yeah, you want to see us be able to successfully get White in there and not lose minutes for anybody else.
Hmm.
That's probably us being greedy, but
And
hey,
and
Q got in yesterday. He looked big. He looked
oh
like
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
looked like got
Quindary,
bigger.
yeah, for sure, man. It'll be cool to see him come in throughout the year and stuff. Um, and then
All right. And,
yeah.
and Ernesto, that's kind of what we've been going back and forth on like, do we want to really continue to keep doing recaps of the games? Just because, if we're talking about like that Wizards game, that's a week old. That's 7 days ago when we played the Wizards. Yeah, I'm glad that there are people that come and check out for the recaps because it is good to. I think we're going to continue to keep tweaking the way that we talk about the previous games, but yeah, we'll continue to do that. And then if you haven't seen yet, on our like YouTube channel, we'll have like smaller videos clipped out from this large episode that we're doing, and so we'll preview all the games as they're coming up. Matter of fact, like we're about to do that right now. So, all right, Jake, let's start looking forward into this
Right.
week.
Yeah, for sure. So first game this week. It's gonna be Monday. It's gonna be our rematch against the Grizzlies, and I'm very excited for it because I feel like after the game that just happened, I think our guys are gonna come in ready to go and
Yeah,
and ready to throw down with these guys. Um, Obviously, for the most part, uh, we just saw John do his thing, and then their other guards honestly came in and went crazy. Desmond Bain, uh, D'Anthony Melton, and Tyus Jones, even like all. And Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, their starter, right? Like all those guys just came in and went to work on us.
mhm.
Um, and then obviously like they had Ja was creating a lot for the team as a whole, and it gave opportunities for people like Brandon Clark and Xavier Tillman to do their thing. And I don't honestly. I'm gonna go back real quick. I don't think I saw. Yeah, Jonas didn't play at all. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I was gonna say they had marked him as health and safety earlier in the day, but then other people were saying that he was still gonna be. They were like, well, is he gonna play? Because he said that he feels good and that he's gonna travel with the team. But then I guess yeah. So
mhm.
maybe he's a guy who in the next couple days gets put back onto their healthy roster.
Yeah, maybe so. So
We'll,
if
we'll,
that's the
we'll have
case,
to keep an eye.
yeah, and I think I wonder where he fits into their rotation right here. I
Well,
guess he took the
he
minutes
played
from.
the first game, right?
Yeah, he did. But I'm just saying, like looking at their minutes, right? Like, I don't know if like they just take away all the minutes of like Xavier Tillman, or if they take away minutes from Gorgie and Tillman and run 11. You know.
Yeah, and to be
Um,
honest, it probably is going to help us because, well, I don't know, I don't really remember how Valanciunas shoots the three, but again, it just seems like that's going to be something we're going to be giving up.
right, for sure, and freaking Gorgie Dang, crazy from 3-point line, right? And same thing with Brandon Clark, right?
Oh
But
yeah, and man, Clark's shot is so whack, or just the look of
I
it
know it
is
looks
just
so
very
weird.
yeah.
But it's he makes them, so I
Yeah.
guess can't exactly put him at fault there. One thing to note is that Jaren Jackson Jr. is still like on those like questionable list, because like he earlier this month he was talking about making his return. I honestly had the feeling that he was gonna make his return Saturday against us, but it might be or I mean yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think you said
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said that
Saturday.
you said that you said that last week that you thought he was going to be back.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of put it out there again. Maybe he'll be back. We don't know for sure. And if he comes back, obviously he'll be rusty. He hasn't played at all this season. But I like that's still. I think seeing him come back will definitely help them out.
That's a dynamic big that they got.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what the Grizzlies come in on Monday, because their team can definitely change up. Uh, And then
Yeah.
just to kind of show like the leaders a little bit. Obviously, Ja's going to be leading them. Dylan Brooks right here at number 2. I'm sure a lot of Spurs fans hate this guy now.
After like the DeMar stuff.
Well, honestly, just from this game in total, like I've known that Dylan Brooks is a little bit of a yapper, like he just talks a lot, right?
Mhm.
And it's good, I like seeing players be competitive. I don't want to see everybody be like, oh man, we're best friends after this game. No, like you can respect the game, but you can also be competitive. You can respect the player, but like the competitiveness still needs to be there, So seeing somebody like Dylan Brooks still go out there and be like annoying, being like a just somebody who kind of gets into people's mental state, right? Like I
Yeah.
like that just because it adds a little bit more drive to both teams.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
I agree, and it will be good, like you said. Having him and I'm losing my names now. The one that looks just like him, Jones. Uh,
Ice.
like yeah, like having a lot of their guards play really well. I'm excited to see the defensive intensity that we kind of bring to those guys in a couple
Hmm.
days.
For
Because I
sure.
think
Like I.
because we have the skill, we have the size, we have the length to kind of really hold them at bay. But again, it's just like we gave them a lot of easy opportunities. You know what I mean? And maybe that's Ja Morant being Ja Morant, giving them
Mhm.
good opportunities. But I don't know. Over what I saw from Boston, what I saw from Denver, what I've seen against like the Lakers and some of those other teams, it's like we have what it takes to be disciplined on the 3-point line in terms of defense. So I expect, and I'm nobody, but I expect us to have more discipline when it comes to that in this next round, because especially because again, like you said, like we took the L, but also now it's 1-1 in terms of the division. So we need to win all of the division matchups, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And I like I said, I'm very excited because of the fact that we lost kind of badly this last game. The fact that it wasn't a pretty game, and now we have our second opportunity. Why would our players just kind of like let them run over us 2 games straight? Like, all right, let's come back. Let's tear down whatever they tried to do against us on Saturday, and tear into them. I feel like having this day of rest and stuff like that, it's gonna help because we were definitely coming back. We were in a back to back that game,
We're
and
we're
so
we were on 3 games in 4 days because we played Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
exactly. So I'm sure our guys were pretty tired, and I think and that's definitely something to kind of note. Like we saw that Demar didn't shoot well that game, but now he'll have his day of rest. Now he'll come in and obviously I'm sure he'll have a little something to say to Dylan Brooks at the throughout the game and stuff.
Hmm.
I'd love to see DeMar score 30 on Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and same, man. Like, I feel like we have the opportunity to kind of swing hard a little bit.
Mm.
So far, the only we've had 3 instances of like playing the same team back to back. Sorry, I don't know where my camera's at. And only one of them, which was the Lakers, did we lose both. We lost both to the Lakers. But when we did it, and we had the Minnesota games, we split, and then we had the Rockets games, we split.
Hmm.
So
And
now we're looking to
also,
split this one. Huh.
yeah, another thing to know, Bill Land had said it on the game last night. But so this will finish the season series. Like whatever this will be, we'll finish against the Grizzlies. 1-2 or 2-1, and then later this week it'll be against Minnesota. Same
Yeah.
thing. We'll finish either 2-1, 1-2.
And you know what? That's another thing. If I'm the Grizzlies and I know if we lose tonight being last night, if we lose tonight, there's zero way that we win this season series against them, and that's important. It's so important. So I can see them being like, we need to win tonight to keep the door open for us to go and win the season series in a couple days. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So they just had a lot of good energy. We definitely need to be able to
and
match that.
and that's definitely a big thing to take into account. Like a team like Memphis, not so much Minnesota, but Memphis and maybe Houston later down the road. They have been playing good. They've been winning games and stuff. But we'll see if they slow down or we'll see if they keep it up sooner or
and
later,
and
right?
they've and they've pl- and they've played well against us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So we'll be finishing the season series against all three of those teams, and if we win against a team like Memphis and a team like Houston, those two teams that are going to be in those fights for the eighth seed, those,
Yeah.
like you said, like the division games matter, and we win these series, and we tie at the end of the season, like we're gonna take those spots above them because we
Yeah.
won those series at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. It
So
matters, man. I mean, especially like I think back to the year that we played New Orleans Pelicans on the last game of the regular season. We didn't show up with a lot of good energy. They beat us on on that last night, and because of that loss, we go from, instead of being like fourth seed, we drop to like seventh seed. You know what I mean? And it's like, and look at our record last night. I know we're only a quarter of the way through, but it's going to be pretty common, the fact that seeds like 4 through 11 are just that tight.
mhm.
We went from like 7th or 8th all the way up to 4th, and then when we lost, we went from 4th all the way back down to like
Yeah,
8th or
and
wherever
then
we're sitting now. You know what I mean? So
and then it's going to be even more dynamic because of the postponing of games. You know,
mhm.
seeing teams have to go out for 2 weeks straight, like that will change. Like the Grizzlies literally missed 2 weeks straight and were still in the playoffs. I think like they were still up there, and so it's like, if let's just say they did play those 2 weeks, and instead they lost and stuff, and maybe they won, maybe like they split. They had 1 week of good and 1 week of bad, and that puts them one or two spots lower, that puts them one or two spots higher,
Yeah.
and then they come play against us, and we, either we show out or we lose, whatever.
Did you see Channing Frye talk about the Spurs a little bit on NBA TV?
No, I
He
didn't catch that.
he kind of mentioned that. So it was like I think it was like immediately after we beat the Celtics. They were kind of talking or whatever, and he had said kind of what you're saying too, which is they had asked him like, do you see the Spurs as like as a potential playoff team? And he was saying like, I have to say yes. He was like, based off of the way that they're playing and their mixture of like young and vets. But he was saying what you're saying, which is in a league or in a year where we have so many things changing with COVID and with COVID being the main thing, changing the way we're playing the games. Those teams that can really lock in and have good mental discipline and take care of the little things on a game to game basis, because you never really know what roster you might show up with, and some teams are better or worse at adapting to those changes, right? So the more cohesiveness you have in your organization provides stability, provides easy, it help to get over those little tiny things that are going to come along the season. And he was just kind of saying that the Spurs historically have been good at those kind of things, and it kind of showed against, we played really well against Boston, so he probably was seeing us at our best or at our good. So but yeah, so I agree with him. I think that we have the edge, and we talked about this in our first episodes too, right? When it was like, we think that coaching is going to be a big edge for us this year. We think cohesiveness is going to be a big edge for us this year. And so I think we are seeing it a little bit in terms of how some of these teams are dealing with COVID and how we're doing. Like, I think our team is handling it pretty well. All the things that the players have said about being real stringent on it, and like, yeah, the league's being real picky, but we're trying to be picky also on our own. Because you've also heard we've heard the flip side. You've heard players kind of say like, oh yeah, like I can't even go for a walk, like, and they're kind of like bashing the rules a little bit, and it's like, yeah, you can't go for a walk, but neither can like, the people who are like sitting in a bed sick because they have COVID. You know what I mean? So
Right.
so you got to take it. You got to take everything in its entirety, I guess. But all right, Jake. So how are you feeling about? Do you feel like we're gonna have the discipline and the energy enough to go get that win against Memphis?
Heck yeah. I think this is going to be our game that, like, like I said, we're going to come back with even more intensity. Like, the way that last game felt, I feel like shouldn't be sitting right with any of those players. I think I remember seeing some stuff about like Lonnie saying that they're gonna have a good amount of time to reflect on it, and that all the players are going to be, looking back at this game to motivate them. I
Good.
think I remember seeing Lonnie say something along the lines of that on Twitter.
That's
And
good.
yeah, exactly. And so that just makes me, feel like, all right, we're gonna come in, we're gonna take care of business. We're not gonna let those those easy mistakes that happened this game happen to them next game.
That's what you want. Hey Jake, real quick, did I hear you correct? We're gonna finish the season series this week with Memphis and Minnesota and Houston, or just Minnesota Memphis?
I think it's Memphis, Minnesota, and Houston.
Man, that's a very important week. Very important week.
Exactly. And like I said, obviously, Memphis or Minnesota might be able to turn it around sooner or later, but the general consensus is that we'll go ahead and get into Memphis right now, or Minnesota. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The general consensus is that like they're just not, they haven't been able to pick it up. They haven't been able to get it together, and so they're just going to be another lottery team again.
Yeah,
So
and even Cat has been he missed a little bit of time, or no?
yeah, he missed a little bit of time. He came back that first game with us. I think that first game that we played this year against Minnesota was a
Yeah.
game that he came back from an injury, but you could still tell like a little bit throughout the game that he was just like his hand was still
Yeah.
impacting the way that he was playing.
But even though, and this is why I say it's important, is because even though they're scheduled, or sorry, they're slated to be at the bottom still, right below all of those teams that are like really fighting for the bubble. Well, it still makes it that much important to go out and beat those teams. You know what I mean? And we've shown this year that we can lose. We can lose against them. So
Yeah, for sure, man.
and we need to have that focus. I think that's the most that I'm excited for this week, is like what kind of mental are we going to bring to 2 division matchups, all 3 Western Conference matchups, and all 3 sitting right over, this is our company right now.
All
This,
three of these teams we are 1-1 against.
yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
if we can finish all 3 of them off by being 2-1, that's perfect. That's great. But like the point that I was just getting at was just that like this isn't as worrisome of a team as like Memphis and Houston is, just because of where they stand. But I still feel like we should still come in with close to the same intensity and be ready to like take care of business, right? You never
Yeah.
know. Cat could go off. D'Lo could go off. Like these players, like Nas Reed stepped up that one game that we lost. So it's like, you know, uh, we just really do need to come in, take care of business against these teams. And Josh has said this a couple times, like we try not to like think of it as like looking forward and looking past teams, but like we got to come in. Hey, just speak of the devil, right?
Yeah.
We got to come in and take care of business so that we can be ready for Houston, because we don't know how Houston's going to be. This is our first time playing against a fully healthy Houston team.
Yeah, like with Oladipo and John Wall.
Yeah.
Nice.
With Depot, John Wall, like Cousins still there, Christian Wood's a killer, so
Yeah. Well, I was just saying because last time, like Christian Wood played. Oh no, DeMarcus Cousins didn't play either last game, huh?
not the second game, no.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I know we've seen we caught them right as they were going through their trade stuff. But yeah, I think we'll be able to, like you said, if we have the right focus, Minnesota should be a team that we should feel comfortable playing.
Yeah, for sure. And like I mean, obviously, like I was saying, and this is actually going to be a little bit of a more difficult team because Cat should be a little bit more healthy than
Yeah, a little bit more
than
like
the last
in rhythm of playing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so we'll have to deal with
Morning, Ryan.
with the superstar Cat, where I have to deal with a solid star and D'Lo, and then obviously Malik Beasley, who's been killing it this year. So, uh, it'll definitely be something that we'll be getting ready to look out for against this team, because it's like I said, I think this team is something that like at the moment, we like looking at it right now, I can say that, like, all right, let's just kind of get in and get out. But you never know. Like this is definitely a team that could just come in and tear us up.
Yeah. If Rubio comes in with good discipline and is like really leading that second unit, you know what I mean, and kind of gets people going. Now, with that being said, hopefully in our heads, now we got our second point guard who's coming in and making our bench unit. You know what I
This will
mean?
be his third game back, and it'll,
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, man, I really feel that like that's gonna be something that's gonna really start to take shape. Is our bench is gonna hoping that our bench really starts to take off in terms of we're gonna have somebody who is capable of seeing what the game is looking and feeling like as it starts, and then being able to come in and know exactly what they want to do to either expand a lead or help shrink a lead or whatever they got to do. Like, man, I'm just so excited to see Derek White become like that for our second unit. Well, I mean, that's where I hope that we put him, but
yeah, for sure, for sure. I'd like to see Derek White on our bench too, along with Lonnie Walker.
yeah, because if we can get DJ to continue to rise, right, and continue to move forward in terms of his playmaking ability and all that kind of stuff, man, if you can have two reliable engine starters for your team, man, it's gonna be so fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And honestly, we can kind of get through like Minnesota a little bit quicker, just because they're not exactly a like I said, they're not the scariest team, but we know what they're about. We know what to kind of look for. We'll be trying to take advantage on the offensive end because their defense isn't crazy, especially with Cat and D'Lo. They're not the two craziest defenders, being the stars of the team.
Mhm.
Uh, and so we just kind of have to come in, beat them on the offensive end, and hold down. I would say hold down D'Lo and Beasley as well as we can, because in my opinion, I don't think we're gonna be able to stop Cat with LA starting. uh,
Yeah, I mean, well, he's
Depending on how it goes.
Cat's not the fastest guy, so I
But
mean,
he could shoot the ball well. He
yeah.
shoots the ball. He shoots the ball at a solid rate. I don't think he's in their leaders on the 3 point.
Well, I guess, I
Obviously,
guess, I guess, I guess what I'm trying to say is like he's not the fastest guy, so like closing out hard against him is an option because I feel like we can have some help options. But also, he could put the ball on the floor and he could definitely dunk. He could definitely put LA on a poster or all he needs is to break him off one time, I guess, and then I'll be like,
yeah,
well, I was wrong. Let's not do that anymore. Um,
exactly. And so I mean, like I think the way to go is just to beat their guards in this game. Kind of like the same thing that I said against Denver. It's just to a different aspect because Cat's more of a scoring center, and Jokic is a all around offensive threat.
yeah, actually, in terms of like what D'Lo does and like Murray does. I wouldn't say that Cat passes as good as Jokic, but they are kind of similarly constructed in that way, where they're two best players.
Right. Are they guard and center?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, all right, cool.
But all right, so we'll go ahead and move on into a Houston team that, uh, honestly, I'm excited to see us go against them. It'll be a fun looking game to see uh, a healthy Victor Oladipo. I'm a huge fan of Vo. That guy's been I've been rooting for him since his Magic days, just because that's around the time that I started watching basketball. And
What was his? Was he at number one?
no, um, dang, I can't think of what he was off the
But
top of
he's
my head. He
but he's
definitely wasn't number one, but
he's up there.
he was in that 2013 draft. Uh, so it's like obviously most of those guys were pretty much a miss in terms of just where they picked, except for Victor Oladipo and Giannis. Those are like the two people that you know, Giannis
Mhm.
got picked like 15, I think, and so it's like uh you look at like redrafts and stuff like that, and it, unless I'm mistaken of who else is there, usually
They,
like those redrafts go.
they mostly have Oladipo going like two or three.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, uh, still though, like I'm half and half on wishing Oladipo the best. And when he was in Indiana, I was very excited to see him play. He played great, and okay, cool. See, so he was number two, right? But uh he was great in Indiana his first year there, and I love seeing him play. I'm a big defensive guy, so it's like I love seeing a guard who does both ends. He plays solid defense and scores decently well. So I was very excited to see him play, and then he had his injury, and then just like that little falling out with Indiana that put him here in Houston. And so it's like I still want him to be good, but not against us because I don't like Houston.
Yeah. Exactly.
Uh, And then obviously same thing with John Wall. You know, he's a little bit before my time, right? Like he was a superstar and stuff like that around like the early 2010s, going into like 2016 and stuff before his injury, and and like it just has been a very long time since we've seen John Wall play, and he's solid, he's good. I'm glad that he's able to produce close to what he produced in Washington. So.
Yeah, it is good to see them back on the court from that point of view and everything like that. I do worry about Houston though, because even before John Wall, well, let me say even before like Oladipo, but like I just when it comes to like you were talking about like those tough teams, you know what I mean? Those quote unquote like they got some more size, they're a little bit thicker, they like to kind of bang a little bit. Like I feel like Houston could definitely be one of those teams, man. With John Wall's not a small guard, and he's pretty feisty too. So I mean, and plus as he gets older, he's not going to be able to just beat people with speed. So it's like, okay, what else can he kind of bring? And so some of that physicality I think is going to be good for his game. But like like John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Christian Wood, especially PJ Tucker. Like I love watching PJ Tucker play because that's a guy who he can shoot the ball really well, and he can get to the rim, but it's just like everything else that he does is like why I'm a fan of PJ Tucker. So I'm a little bit like when it comes to like a team like this, I just don't want us to go and get bullied and get bodied and get, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff that I don't want to see. So like, I'm not worried about Keldon because Keldon won't back down from anybody and he's got the size, but I don't know. It's just like, I still like have that same picture. I know I've said it on this show before, but I still have that same picture in my head from the preseason when it was like PJ Tucker guarding one of our guys on the corner, I believe. On the corner, I believe, and he's guarding our guy on the perimeter, and then they try to swing the ball, and he just like to a driver or a cutter, and he just like slides over and bodies that guy too. Like he just guarded so much space, and our guys are a little bit lanky. Lonnie's pretty skinny. DJ's real skinny. So it's like those are the things that like they stick in my head a little bit as we get.
Devin still looks like some skin and bones.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, okay, over the course of 48 minutes, can I see them kind of breaking us down a little bit? And now we're a little gassed. You know what I mean? Like I can see that happening. So I was looking right now. I am glad that we have we'll play Minnesota on Wednesday, and then we'll have Thursday and Friday off, and we'll come and we'll play Houston
Saturday.
Yeah. So I am glad about that because it's real. Playing on the end of the back-to-back or whatever and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
This is going to be I honestly, I don't think that they're as good as like Boston and some of these other teams that we've been beating, but I think that it's going to be one
There's
of the
still going to be a challenge.
It's going to be one of the tougher matchups, yeah. And and because you throw all the things that were all the names that we were just talking about that you can see on the screen right now, but then you throw in like what we said about the fact that it's a division rivalry, the fact that we need the win and so do they. You know what I mean? Like all of those things combined it hopefully is a really competitive game, hopefully a really fun game to watch, and then most importantly, hopefully it's again that we win.
Yeah, for sure, and like I said, I'm excited to see John Wall, see Victor Oladipo do good. But like I think that's where we're gonna have to stop them. Like we're gonna have to make sure that John Wall and VO don't get their due. I think that's what this season's gonna boil down for us at least, is can we stop their guards? Even if they have a solid center, can we stop their guards? Because I like LaMarcus, and I think sometimes he can be a solid body out there, but sometimes he's a liability on that defensive end. So it's just like not necessarily like to give up on LaMarcus and that defensive side, but to kind of like in a sense, okay, we know this is going to be a weakness, so we have got to play our strengths to the best ability that we can. I think you might be muted.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was alluding to when I said about like it seems like we're okay with giving up a lot of the 3-pointers coming from LA's man, coming from the 5 or whatever. So yeah, I agree. I think it might just be another night of Christian Wood is gonna pop off for 28. maybe 30
Yeah,
points. And
yeah, but
are we gonna be able
hopefully
to hold
hold
Oladipo and
to a
John
solid
Wall?
16, and then John Wall to a solid 12, right? Like to kind
Yeah.
of cut those averages down, right?
Yeah,
For sure.
and who knows? I mean, I haven't been watching Houston too much since they got everybody back, so I'd be interested to see, like, Christian Wood was doing a lot of things, but he was taking advantage of a lot of open space, taking advantage of the fact that James Harden wasn't playing, and Boogie and John were in and out of the lineup a lot, and then when Oladipo came, he didn't play right away either because of like they missed a couple games because of COVID protocols and all that. So like Christian Wood did a really good job of taking advantage of the fact that he had a lot more minutes and a lot more touches and everything. So I'll be excited to see what does his game look like now that they have all of, like, Oladipo is going to be their number one option. You know what I mean? So
I
uh, um,
actually, I still think Christian Wood is going to be their number one option. I think
yeah,
they're still going to run that offense through Christian Wood because I could very well see like them saying, like, in a sense, how like you're talking about them being rough. I feel like in my mind, you see this Houston team, and they want to coach it to where, all right, John, all right, Victor, you're going to hold down their guards however long, you're gonna stop their guard play, and we're gonna let Christian Wood go to town on that offensive end.
okay, yeah,
Like just because, and Christian Wood's not a bad defender, right? But he's a little skinny, a little bit not as big as like a guy like LaMarcus would be, right?
yeah.
And
And
he obviously
LA had success against him too, like pushing him in the point.
exactly. And so obviously, they're not gonna be. It's just kind of the same thing with us, right? Like they're not gonna be relying on Christian Wood to be their defensive anchor. So the only difference is that right now Christian Wood's a 24 point per game scorer, and LaMarcus isn't scoring 25 points a game.
Yeah, he's
So
he's he's capable, but we just our offenses run run differently.
yeah, exactly. And so that's why I do think that like a team like Houston could kind of run what not necessarily what we do, but better, but still run like a variation of how we run our offense and defense.
Yeah, yeah. Defensive minded wings or just guards in general. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And man, we talked about it again about like having pretty tough division matchups, and they are challenging, but they're fun. Like I said, as somebody who lived through all of Dirk's run and all of Houston having big players and like all of that kind of stuff, like it's fun when you know that you're gonna have four, or in this case probably three for our division for this year, but like four matchups every year against one team that's gonna be a dogfight. You know what I mean? Like it's fun to book those on your calendar. So I know, like us, like when they're allowing us to go to the games, like that's like one of the first things that we look for is like those division matchups. When are we playing Memphis? When are we playing Houston, Dallas? You know what I mean? Like it's so fun to go and go yell at Houston, to go yell at Dallas. You know what I mean? So
For sure, man. For sure.
I'm excited for this week, man. It's well, I guess, dang, I gotta wait till Saturday, almost a whole week from today for this Houston game.
Right, for sure, man. But it's still, I think this is going to be a fun week in general. Like you said, it's going to be an important week, but I do think that we'll be able to dish it out because of how much time that we have to rest. The amount of
Yeah,
time that it's going to be from Monday to Wednesday to Saturday. Like it's gonna be a good stretch for us to kind of like get our composure and
yeah,
be able to kind of take these game by game and take a solid single win every game this week.
yeah. As opposed to like this week, which if we would have included the New Orleans game, it's even more. It was pretty
Yeah,
hectic in terms of how much basketball
like
was getting played.
like
So
I
yeah,
wouldn't I wouldn't have been surprised if we would have if we played against the Pelicans. I wouldn't have been surprised if we would have lost to Denver, or lost to Boston.
yeah. Okay, so and I kind of wanted to bring that up too. Like we went 3-1, and when we were talking about like our predictions for last week, I think all three of us said 3-2, right? Uh,
Did we?
um, I
I
I
thought
believe
I thought maybe Josh would have said 4-1.
I'll have to go check. I'll have to go check, but I kind of feel like we all ended up at 3-2. But okay, so we ended up 3-1, and most people when they see 3-1, they're probably like, "Dang it, if we could have beat New Orleans, so we probably could have been 4-1," and that's true, we could have. But also, yeah, if you think about it in that context, I could definitely see us losing to Denver, or maybe we lose to Boston. You know what I mean? Maybe we play.
I think it's more likely that we lose to Boston because our guys are a little bit more tired after a back
After,
to
yeah,
back, and then we finally get that rest to play against Denver, and we come back to beat them. But
yeah,
then again, another back to back, we're probably gonna be pretty exhausted,
yeah,
to play
yeah,
against
and,
Memphis.
and Denver was pretty tired too. So maybe we're just two tired teams, and they
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it comes down to a last second shot or some shit like that.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so we had a pretty good week last week, all things considered. We got our point guard back, which is great. I think that's gonna be one of the best things about this next week is seeing how we have a lot of things to do, man. We got to win these division games, but we also got to start to incorporate Derek White in and see like how is he going to help us defensively or where we're going to put him and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd actually like to take a little bit of time to talk about Derek, so I'm gonna go ahead and uh put this up real quick, and then we're gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and
go
show
ahead, go
this.
ahead. Yeah,
So
so one did say that everybody went 3-2. I don't know if you saw it.
yeah. So that's what's up. I do think that would have been a 3-2 week. It would have been solid enough. But I want to talk about like Derek's impact coming in. What do we think he's going to be doing? And what he can add. What might take away from other players? Maybe just like the
Mhm.
overall like what is going to happen now that we have Derek White coming back into our lineup finally again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that it really turns not the blinders, but it turns on everybody on to like who is going to be able to play with him. Like I think
Hmm.
that he makes people better, but I think that he makes us so much better that you have to start filling his personnel around with his strengths. You know what I mean?
Figure out who plays the best with Derek.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's going to make everybody better. I don't think I think that's a given that anybody who plays with him will be better. But who is going to be that best lineup? Because I mean, I would
I
say I like the idea of having him. Like imagine having him and Lonnie and like Rudy, like
exactly,
him.
exactly.
Well, I mean, so okay. Well, let's say this. Let's kind of put a little bit more concrete ideas down. So I think me and you both we're going to take advantage of Josh not being here today, and we're just going to put Lonnie on the second unit.
Hmm.
So would you say that you want your second unit to start with Derek White and then have Lonnie Walker at the two?
Yes, I would. The my bench five
Yeah,
would
go ahead.
be uh Derek White, Lonnie Walker, Devin Vassell, Rudy, and Jakob.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I,
I
I
think
I
I
think I
think
think. Go ahead.
I think that's a perfect second unit that can come in and obviously be our 10-man rotation, right? Be 10 men deep. I feel like that'll help a lot in terms of the load bearing on DeMar, Rudy, Patty, and LaMarcus, right?
Hmm.
Because Ratty, Patty doesn't have to play 27. Rudy doesn't have to play 28, 29, like, on some of those given nights, right? Now they can cut them down to 22, 23, and you can see Devin get 18 minutes. You can see Derek get 22. You can see Jakob get his 18, 19,
So so if you have Derek White at the one and Lonnie Walker at the two, what does your starting lineup look like now? DJ's at the one.
So technically, DJ's still the playmaker, is still the starting point guard,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
would be Patty at the one in terms of defense.
So
Just
you would start Patty?
Yeah, like I mean, because just because of where we have Trey, like we don't really play Trey. I if Trey was getting rotational minutes for us right now, I'd love to see freaking Derek, DeMar, Keldon, Trey, LaMarcus. But because Trey's not getting those rotational minutes, and I'm just kind of looking at it as what we have, I'm running Patty at the one just for the defensive purposes, just to kind of like whoever is in a sense, whoever is um the worst between the point guard and the shooting guard on the opposition's team, then like Patty would be on that defensive matchup. And honestly, this year Patty has shown that he at times is a defensive liability, at times isn't a defensive liability. And I think that's perfect. I think to
Yeah.
see Patty be able to kind of step up and show that he is not that bad of a defensive player. Obviously, he can be taken advantage of sometimes, but like his speed, being able to kind of keep up with other guards, like it shows on the court. Like every now and then when I'll be watching the games and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have Patty on Steph Curry. But then Patty actually does something. Patty keeps Steph from taking an easy looking shot. So it's like the stuff that I was saying that was bad about Patty isn't actually being as bad as even like I'm portraying it.
Yeah.
So and then another thing to note is that Patty does not need to be getting 30 minutes a game. Just because he's starting the games off does not mean he needs to be getting all those minutes. He can still finish games 20 minutes, 22 minutes, to where like Lonnie is still getting his time in. Lonnie can be that rotational piece from the bench to the starting lineup. And this is all, it all comes from the fact that I think that we could run a 40, the stuff that like Josh was saying, that we could run like a miniature version of what LA does with LeBron and AD. We could run that with DeJounte and Derek. Run 48 minutes of either DeJounte's on the court, either Derek's on the court, and sometimes they're both going to be on the court. And I love that. I think that's going to be one of our strongest lineups, is when we can run Derek and DJ at the 1 and 2, because both of them can start plays, both of them defend well, and they both have been making smart decisions.
Yeah,
So,
I honestly, I do, I agree. It's interesting that obviously Patty starting raises a little bit of ears for some people, so I can definitely see that. But maybe it's like how Josh was saying, that Lonnie Walker, or I guess let me think about it. Maybe like how you were saying, Lonnie Walker can kind of can get hidden a little bit in the starting lineup, but that's kind of like a negative thing, offensively, and we need him to be more exposed in the second unit. Well, maybe it's the opposite. It's like maybe Patty can be a little more hidden defensively with the starters, and not, because if you have DJ, so I'm assuming you said Patty, DJ, DeMar, Keldon, and LA as your starter, right?
Yes.
So then DJ and KJ are going to be taking on the heavy assignments, and then you got DeMar and Patty out there, doing what they can elsewhere. So I mean, I could see that happening a little bit. I would agree with you. It's like I know Josh was saying right here, Patty starting, stop right there, right? But Jake makes a good point when he said like, you have to kind of look that way when you see that like Trey still hasn't gotten any minutes. When you see that like our other it's like, what are you going to do? If you move Lonnie to the second unit, you got to put somebody out there. And it's like, are we adding another big? Is Trey Lyles coming back into the lineup all of a sudden? And maybe he is. Maybe we saw a little bit of that last night, some foreshadowing of him getting more rotational minutes. And maybe that was a little bit Derek White's fault why Trey Lyles hasn't been playing so much. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just like, well, Derek White's out. We need another guard to come in, and it just doesn't. We don't have like that solid 10-man. So maybe when White comes back in, maybe we slide Trey in there, and we got DJ, DeMar, KJ, Trey, and LA. Something a little bit more like the lineups we were saying at the beginning of the year. I don't know, that we'll be able to see pretty soon. I would say like within this next week, within these next 3 games, we should be able to see like what are some trends of what they're trying to do with Derek White. So it'll be fun to kind of see.
And for me, like the point of emphasis is the fact that like we've been saying the last couple weeks, is that like Lonnie gets his due on the bench. Derek, of course, Derek's gonna be starting the ball. Starting the plays and stuff like that. But it still gives plenty of opportunity. Like when you hear DJ, DeMar, and LA in one lineup, those 3 people are gonna get the ball. When you hear Derek, Rudy, and that's it, like Patty doesn't start plays. Patty can run off ball. So it's like Derek obviously will start plays. Rudy sometimes starts plays, but there's those times where it's like, yeah, let's have Lonnie start the plays. Let's give the ball to Lonnie,
Yeah,
and I think.
Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say White. Even if Lonnie is starting to play, White is a great second option.
Exactly. He's so good off ball. Like
Mhm.
he makes the right plays. Um he runs like in a sense like he runs around the right way. You know, he'll come off screens looking good. There was the one play in the Grizzlies game where Trey and Derek had done a pick and roll, or like Trey had the ball and was like, sliding it off to Derek, and Derek like just kind of like made something out of it. But then when they tried it again, instead of Derek running around like he did earlier, because they closed in like that, they closed in knowing Derek was gonna try it. Derek just slid out to the 3-point corner. Trey passed it right in. Um, Derek got an easy looking three and it went in.
Yeah.
Like he does the right things when it comes to being off ball, and I think that if I think that could help Lonnie be able to transition into having a ball dominant offensive game. You know.
Yeah, because sometimes the hesitancy with the young guys comes from they're trying to find the option, right? And they're like, okay, what am I doing, right? And sometimes it's easy to see because maybe a lane opens up at the right time and you happen to find it. And then sometimes like if you need another player to make it easier for you, you know what I mean? Like you're saying,
Exactly.
like it can be easier for Lonnie to find what that option is if you have a guy who's smart enough to just be where the coach said he was going to be every single time. Or if like in the middle of a game, y'all can both start to see those things and make those adjustments, like you're
It,
saying, right?
yeah, and so it's like you were saying just a second ago that like Derek makes everybody on the court better. So eventually you got to find out who can kind of be those the best complement pieces, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's like, well, obviously he's gonna make Patty look good. Obviously he's gonna find those open looks for Patty. But at the same time, Patty only, Patty's a 3-point shooter. So it's like eventually it kind of stops to where it's just like, all right, we know Patty's gonna do what he has to do. Whereas Lonnie's offensive game still hasn't been developed all the way yet, but it can be. It shows sparks of where he can be an amazing slasher, where he can shoot the midi, where he can shoot the three ball and be just a great spark plug. That
yeah.
like imagine having Derek be able to kind of like in a sense Lonnie compliment Derek and Derek compliment Lonnie.
Yeah,
Have them both be
and
that
then
1-2
on top of
offensive end.
that, now Patty becomes even more lethal because Patty as a second option is tough. Patty as a third option is even better. You know what I mean? Like when you're breaking the defense down, and now all of a sudden, one swing pass turns to the second swing pass, and now Patty's wide open for a three. The defense goes, damn. You know what I mean? And that's what we need. Because when Patty shoots the ball with any kind of space, you feel good about it. You know what I mean? So imagine if we got two guys out there that like that's their number one job is to just get to the rim and get guys and going. You know what I mean? So I
And
agree. I think I would rather have Patty stay. I would rather me personally. I would rather have like a guy like Trey Lyles slip into the starting unit versus Patty. Because I think
and I
Patty could be down there with that second unit.
Yeah, I completely understand that too. Like to see like a second unit of Derek Patty, or vice versa, right? Like, depending on who's guarding who, right? But Derek Patty, Lonnie, Rudy Jakob, right? Like I could see that sounds good too. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that could very well work too, because it's the same thing. Um, the difference being that like you're for me, you're substituting better shooting for a little bit worse defense, right? Because I think it for me, it's safe to say that Devin's going to be a little bit of a better defender than Patty Mills, right? Patty's only 6 foot and Devin's 6'7", right? But uh, obviously Devin's still a rookie. He doesn't make the right offensive movements. Sometimes he'll stay a little stiff, or sometimes he makes a one too many passes. That's like, hey, I need you to shoot this ball. You're a solid 3-point shooter. Shoot the ball. Whereas Patty will shoot the ball. You put Patty in those positions and it'll make him lethal. It'll make people have to think twice about putting having Patty like right here and just not looking at him, right? So
Mhm.
I definitely think that type of lineup could work too. It was just like I was saying that like we just don't have Trey getting minutes right now, and I was just kind of running with the idea that, all right, so here's the lineups that I've seen. Here's
Yeah.
where,
How can we plug Derek into that?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Instead of just kind of like bringing up like a new lineup of like, all right, now Trey's coming in, have a quarter way into the season.
Yeah.
and he's just starting all of a sudden, you know.
Although, like I said, like I do feel like the fact that we saw him last night, it does mean something. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
In my opinion, because we saw him last night, it was what I was saying earlier of just like our guys were just not hitting it, and we played Trey
Yeah, true. I mean,
instead of
yeah,
putting
we saw him, but we also saw him like in garbage minutes with
It was
Trey and with
yeah,
Q and some of those
it
other
was
guys.
it was more or less us just saying, all right, Trey, try and do something because our guys aren't doing anything.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I could see that. I could see that as well. But yeah, so I could definitely see. I don't know, like I do see how if we do add Trey Lyles in, it does already start to say, okay, so are we gonna where are we losing minutes now with Vassell and Rudy? It's probably
Yeah,
gonna be like Vassell and Rudy,
Vassell's
like
not
right.
playing anymore, and Rudy gets a little bit of time cut.
Yeah, so
But
so like
I think all the vets kind of get a little bit of time cut because Derek's coming in.
yeah,
Um, and
which
and, and
which is okay.
yeah, exactly. I'm not upset seeing DeMar take 27 minutes and seeing all the rest of our vets taking like 22, 23 minutes along with the rest, like along with one of Lonnie, Derek, or DJ or Keldon kind of having like 22, 23, and then the rest of them having like 18 minutes that night.
Yeah,
Um,
just depending on who's got the hot hand, you just gotta be able
exactly.
to feel it. Yeah, I agree.
And
I think that'll be good.
and so it's like um I'll even put DJ consistently having like 23, 24 minutes a game because he's been playing,
Yeah,
great, and he's been
yeah, and
consistent.
I would say for sure, you gotta give DJ and you gotta give White their minutes. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to I don't want to have droughts of us looking like we don't know what the heck we're doing.
Right.
And so put a point guard out there. You know what I mean? Like
And
that's just me. That's just me.
yeah, and I think one of the best things in terms of just like the lineups that I was putting out, I think one of the best things for me is the fact that I feel like it's intangible. It can be changed up and our team still works. Like uh obviously let's say we're going against the Blazers and they do have a healthy CJ and they have a healthy Dame. I don't want Patty guarding CJ McCollum. You know,
Yeah.
I'll throw Lonnie in the starting lineup that game because I want Lonnie to I think Lonnie can be a better defender than Patty against CJ right here, you know? Uh and so it's like that versatile, like being able to kind of move in and out of our guys, and the fact that I think all of our guys for the most part work well together. It's not like a um other than like the maybe like seeing like obviously like Jakob and LaMarcus on the court together, I don't think would work too great. But um like Jakob can run with the starting five, LaMarcus can run with the bench, and it'll still work. It just
Yeah.
as an example, right?
We do have a lot of interchangeable parts. LA and Jakob kind of do the same thing. Rudy, KJ, and Vassell kind of all do the same thing ish. And then
Mhm.
like Lonnie and Demar kind of swap, and then DJ and Derek, hopefully.
Yeah, and then obviously Patty's out there just shooting the ball,
Yeah,
being
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Um, so that's just like what I would say in terms of just like obviously Patty can't be in the starting lineup at points of games. We can't like you, but we're not robots. We're not gonna start Patty every game against great offensive players. Not
yeah.
to say
No,
that Patty hasn't
I
held
get
his
what
own sometimes.
I get what you're saying. I would need to see it. I would need to see it to be a little bit more like I just wouldn't want us to get burned. Basically, that'd be the
I
thing.
get that, and like I said, the only reason why it ever came into my mind is because I saw it in like the Golden State game, somewhat the Dallas game, like those games where DJ had to go out for a little bit because DJ a couple times this year DJ's gotten into like a little bit of foul trouble every now and then, right? Or
Yeah.
he just kind of gets in a tad bit of a slump, and so we have to throw Patty out there early, and we have to throw Patty against the big dogs, the guys that can score on anybody on any given night. So it's like, yeah, we lost both of those games. Oh, uh, like yeah, we lost both of those games, but you can still see like there's still moments in
Well,
those games.
one of those games was when DJ tweaked his ankle and didn't come back.
Exactly, and you could tell like throughout those games that like Patty still was holding his own. It wasn't like Patty was was like negative crazy because Steph Curry went off for 30 on Patty. No, it was like maybe Steph Curry got like 15 or something like that against Patty, who like I'll take that. I'll take Steph Curry only getting 15, 20 points against Patty Mills, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's not like you said, it's not necessarily like we think we're leading with our best foot forward and Patty is that. It's just like with our roster and when we think about a 48-minute game and trying to maximize where everybody can go, this looks like a spot we maybe could plug him in and see what what we could do.
exactly.
Right? Yeah. So I get you. All right, Jake. Well, we've kind of broke down our thing, our games for the week. We'll be able to see a lot more of what Derek White, not what he brings, but where we put Derek White and all that kind of stuff. We'll know a lot more 1 week from today after we watch these games and stuff. So, we got 3 games on the slate. So let's just go ahead and start out with our weekly predictions, I guess. So you want to go first?
Yeah, let's see. So I just to be a little more specific and stuff like that, I'd say we'll probably take the W against Memphis. We'll probably take the W against Minnesota, and then this Houston game is where it'll be a little bit tougher.
Mm.
In which case I'll still give us the W, but it could go either way. So I'll say 3-0 this week.
3-0 this week. All right, and Josh also said 3-0, huh?
Mm-hmm. Josh
Okay.
did say 3-0 earlier.
Dang. All right. Well, then let me think. Well, okay. So then it's funny. Like, it's like, are you giving are you giving what you think would be the prediction, or are you like adjusting it based off of like what other people are giving it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this week I'll probably do that actually. You guys are both going to go 3-0. So then I'll go. I'll be the one that's more not cautious, but let's just say.
You'll give the cushion.
Yeah, we'll give the cushion exactly. So I'll put us down for 2-1. Same thing. I think that we have what it takes, and I'm hoping that we're in the right mental state to go take care of Memphis. We could lose that game, but I think we could beat Memphis. I think we could beat Minnesota, and then I think it is a toss up because out of the 3 games so far this week, the Houston one is the one that it's the newest. Like we haven't really seen John Wall and Oladipo and Cousins, and you know what I mean. Like we haven't seen that whole squad yet. So some stuff might pop up that we haven't seen in our other games. Minnesota and Memphis, I feel like I've seen them now 2 times each, and I know kind of what they're gonna do, I guess. And I feel like we have enough to combat that. So
for sure.
Alrighty, cool. Well, a little bit less than 2 hours today, but that's okay. That's all right. A little bit of a lighter week this week in general. So
Yeah,
all
I
right,
can't
Jake.
wait for Pop to watch this podcast and understand where I'm coming from to start Patty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jake had Vassell playing a lot more minutes early in the season. Like if you go back and watch some of our first couple episodes, Jake was ready to have Vassell starting to play from right off the jump. So we'll see. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps us up for this week 8 of HHC. But thanks for being here today, Jake, and talking. It's been fun. I know we've had a couple times this year where we've had just like a one-on-one little so it's been fun. It's been good conversation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know, anything else you got before we sign off for the week?
Let's see. Yeah, Josh, just be prepared. Be prepared whenever Lonnie goes to the bench. Can't get too mad.
Yeah, the more times that we get Jake and myself on here, the more that like I'm just gonna keep getting sucked into your things, and then like
Of the ideas of Lonnie going to the bench.
yeah.
And
So I don't know about that one. Yeah, I'm still on the other.
I'm
I'm still on
telling
the
you,
other
man.
side of that.
I think I gave a solid what's the word here? Like a solid argument that Patty can be doable as our starter. And I think that helps Lonnie so much more. I'm just saying, like it I think what I said was not crazy, So I'm just saying.
I'd rather like trade Luca and Trey and like trade all of our big men for one, other than Yak in LA. Trade like 3 players for like 1 player that's just serviceable and is lanky and can run, and then put him in there.
Oh,
That's
Devin,
what
just put Devin out there then.
I mean, now I think Devin is gonna get some time guarding like the 3/4. And I'll feel better about it when he gets a little thicker. He's a little scrawny still, but man, I love watching that guy shoot. The fact that he can shoot a 3-pointer with a guy like Michael Porter Jr. closing out on him on a 3-pointer, like, and get it off and make it. It's like, I don't care who the hell's in front of
I
him.
know, man.
He needs to shoot. He needs to just shoot it.
Exactly. That I will say, I was so angry when I saw him freaking take a 3 and he high-fived the dude, and they still didn't call a foul. Like, man, was some guy. I think it was Will Barton. It's like he freaking jumped up high enough to hit his hand, and they said, "I
Yeah.
don't see a foul."
It's
What
all right.
foul? What are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure Jakob did the same thing to Jokic a couple times on his threes. Their hands meet at the top like that. But all right, Jake. Well, this was a good time. This was a good time. So thank you to anybody who jumped in and was watching and joined us this week. We appreciate the little bits of comments and discussion we get a chance to get going here when we do our live shows. And then we appreciate anybody who's checked us out on the playbacks. We've had a couple of our like game previews. So just kind of like a heads up for anybody who's watching. We try or we're gonna try to be as consistent as possible, but of having our game clips out, our weekly previews, or sorry, our game previews, like on the game day, on the day that the games are happening, they'll be out a couple hours before then. So normally, we're starting around 7:30. I think our scheduled time is around 4:30 or 5, right?
I usually try to get those videos out at around like 5 o'clock, but I'm also testing the waters. I might try to release it a little bit earlier. Maybe that'll help in terms, just because it's a preview. But at the same time, having it close to the game time might also help keep viewers have the game fresh in their minds.
Yeah. So we've been doing those where we clip out our previews of each game as they happen throughout the week, and those have been starting to do a little bit better in terms of the different people finding them. So if you're watching us on the full show, if you're watching us on a clip out, however you are finding us or checking us out, man, we really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to be able to kind of get in here and just keep talking. So we're just gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah, y'all catch those Young Gun videos, man. They are some of the best conversations that we've had in a good bit. I really like those videos. So
yeah, I agree. And if you're if you're a Spurs fan, it's a great time. It's a great time to be a Spurs fan because we have so much new to be talking about. And then if you're not a Spurs fan, it's great because you just get a chance to kind of hear some of the stuff maybe that you might not be hearing. I know when you go to ESPN and when you go to NBA TV, a lot of the times when it comes to the Spurs, it's like, okay, here's the Spurs. They got LA, they got DeMar DeRozan, and okay, let's go on to the next team. Like that's kind of like the extent of what we got. So we try to highlight as much of our other guys as we can, and it's been a whole bunch of fun. So we'll keep doing that, and then you can see scrolling down on the bottom of the screen. We'll be back here at 10 a.m. On the 7th. So 1 week from today, we'll be back at it. All right, Jake. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off so I can get to my. I don't know if you can hear my dog screaming in the background.
Right.
So it's all right. It's life. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off, and we will check you guys next week. So until then, go Spurs, go. Let's get 3 wins this week. All right, peace. We will see you guys.